Ria. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make my cauliflower and pea curry. I'm really excited to show you this one because it's simple, it's delicious, it's healthy, it's vegan, vegetarian friendly and also great for kids. I hope you enjoy it and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So what I'm using in this recipe today is a whole cauliflower, 2 handfuls of frozen peas, 1 white onion, about half a bulb of garlic, a piece of fresh ginger. You'll only need to use about this much. I've got some turmeric ground and Bengali 5 spice, which is a mixture of fenugreek seeds, fennel seeds, nigella, cumin seeds and brown mustard seeds. You can either blend this up yourself, so mixing all those seeds together, or you can buy it in Asian supermarkets. It's really nice either toasted and kept whole or toasted and ground up and mixed into the sauce of what you're cooking. The oil that I'm using here is rapeseed oil, but you can use vegetable oil or sunflower oil or any other sort of flavourless oil. I've also got a couple of green chilies here, but I'm not actually going to use those today. I would normally, but today I'm making a recipe for children, so I don't want to blow the heads off. I've also got about half a tin of coconut milk and almost a whole can of chopped tomatoes. This is just what I had left over in the fridge, so that's why I decided to make this recipe today. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tear the leaves off this cauliflower, not because I'm not going to use them. I am going to use every part of this cauliflower. There's absolutely no need to waste the leaves, they're delicious. The first thing I'm going to do is take them off and give them a wash, and then I'm going to cut up the cauliflower into nice little florets and also chop up the stem just into more bite-sized chunks. So that's all nice and washed. I'm just going to trim off the stalk here and then separate this out by pulling off each of the florets. Just going to chop the end off because that looks a bit gnarly. And then some of the ends of these leaves as well, just give them a bit of a tidy up. And I'm going to chop these leaves up into more bite-sized chunks. Some of these little ones you can just keep as they are. There you go. And then these ones, I'm just going to chop. Right, I'm going to set that aside with the peas. With the florets and stalks, all I'm going to do is just add a half a teaspoon of salt, and half a teaspoon of the turmeric powder. You can either mix it with your hands, but if you don't want to stain your nail varnish, just give it a little mix with your tongs. But for the moment I'm going to leave these just to kind of sit in that salt and turmeric mixture, and I'm going to show you what to do with the Bengali 5 spice. So I've got a dry pan just set to a medium-high heat, and what I'm going to do is just add a tablespoon of the 5 spice mix. Just give it a little shake and wait until you can start smelling that really delicious toasty spice. Now these are starting to smell really good. You can hear a couple of little crackles. They've darkened a little bit in colour, but you don't want to burn them, so I think they're ready to take off the heat. Now that the spices are nice and toasted, I'm just going to put them into a pestle and mortar. And you can do this in a spice blender or a coffee grinder if you like, but I prefer to do it by hand in a pestle mortar. water. That just smells amazing. You can leave these with a bit of bite, but because I'm doing it for children, I think the safest option is to crush it up quite a lot. Now, that's ready, it smells gorgeous, and it's essentially a nice powder. Now back to the hob. The same pan that I was using just to roast the spices in, I'm going to put in some oil. I'm going to put in about 2 tablespoons, I think. The pan's on high heat at the moment. And I'm going to pop in the cauliflower. Try and get in the salt and turmeric mix. You can see that everything's taking on that lovely turmeric colour. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. This cauliflower does take up quite a lot of oil. Don't be tempted to add loads because you don't want a greasy texture. So just keep stirring it around, moving the heat around. I've turned it down to a medium heat. So that's had about 2 or 3 minutes, got that nice golden effect on the cauliflower, and I'm just going to remove it and put it back into its bowl. So I've diced up the onion and I've peeled the ginger and garlic. Now with the pan on a medium heat, I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of oil and then add in the onions. I'm giving those a stir. And I'm now going to add in the spices we ground earlier. And I'm going to stir that again just to make sure it's all incorporated. I'm going to let these cook down for about 4 or 5 minutes, just stirring regularly. Just before putting in the cauliflower, I'm going to add a bit more oil, just a touch, and add the cauliflower, mix it all together. And I now need to put in the ginger, which I'm just going to grate over the top. And the same thing with the garlic as well, just grate that in. You need to give it all a really good mix. So at this stage we're going to just add the cauliflower leaves, and the leaves actually cook quite quickly, but you need to put them in at this stage because the stems attaching the leaves essentially take the same amount of time as the cauliflower to cook, so you need to add them in at this stage. And if you are going to use the green chillies, then I would just chop them up and pop them in at this stage. Give all of that a good stir as well. I'm just going to add in the tinned tomatoes. And in fact, I'm going to add in the whole almost tin. I'm going to stir that around and then add in the half a can of coconut milk. Give that another stir. At this point you need to add as much water as you need to cover the cauliflower, give it a stir and make sure that the cauliflower and everything else is submerged in the water. Then just cover it and let it simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes. And during that time, obviously, have a check, make sure none of it's sticking to the bottom of the pan. At this point, you just need to add the frozen peas and mix them in. And that is my pea and cauliflower curry. I hope you enjoy.